Welcome to the trademark application training. Listen, so because you guys came, I have a gift for you if you stay to the end. All right. It's going to be a copy of my intellectual property category and registration log. This is such an invaluable tool because as you create things, you should be tracking what you're creating. All right. So if you stay to the end, you're going to get that. And it's kind of what it looks like. All right. So have you ever wondered about the type of wealth that you can create? Have you ever wondered if people might be out there stealing your stuff or copying the names and the brand names that you are creating? Well, you might be right. But what I want you to think about today is how can I create protection around my brand and longevity of financial wealth by creating and protecting a brand? All right. Now, after today, one thing I do promise you guys is that you're going to be able, right after this, is go ahead and file your own trademark application. This is what this training is all about. All right. So as we go throughout, if you have questions, make sure that you drop those questions into the Q&A tab or just in the comment section so I can make sure I get to your questions. So why now? Why not now really is a question I would like to ask, because as entrepreneurs and definitely as Black business people, we create all the time. Like, we are just creative. And sometimes we don't even recognize that we're creating things that could help us and our families to become wealthy, right? I've said so many times there are millionaire individuals out there, but they can never realize millions because they never do what they need to do now to make sure that they can actually realize that in the future. So why now? Because we need to, and we need to protect our own birthrights. So here's a question for you guys. Did you know that 85% of brands will experience infringement at some point in their life cycle? It's true. And when I say infringement, that means somebody else taking your stuff, somebody else trying to duplicate your stuff, somebody using your brand name, because people just typically are not that original. So you want to make sure that you're protecting what it is that you're creating. The sooner the better, so you won't end up either on the front side of this having to try to get somebody to stop using your stuff, or coming in on the back end where somebody else now is pointing the finger and the blame at you, saying that, hey, you're violating my rights. Let me show you what that looks like. That looks like a lawsuit. On average, it costs at a minimum about $300,000 for trademark infringement. Large companies are infamous for this. If you are using any form of their brand, they will hit you with a cease and desist, and they might even ask you for, maybe a high five-figure number. But if you ended up having to litigate, mean trying or defending a trademark infringement case, you could be looking at anywhere around $300,000. All right. So we don't want to put ourselves in that situation. So the best thing that you can do right now is to invest earlier in the protection and process of creating a brand so you don't have to be on the other side of this. Ignorance is an expensive gamble for business. I highly do not recommend that you just sit and sit on your fingers and say, well, I didn't know. Because guess what? The judge doesn't care. If the law is there, everybody's expecting that you're going to know what you were doing. And we don't want you to have to pay more than you need to just because you just didn't know, because of ignorance. All right. So let's not make that gamble. And that's one reason why you're here today. So I appreciate y'all for coming. So a little bit about who I am. You guys are already, some of you may be familiar with me and kind of what I've done and what I'm doing. But if you didn't know, I am a first generation lawyer, author, and I've been speaking around the world in the news, in the media, about all things business, sports, intellectual property, contracts. All right. Because it is essential that I help entrepreneurs just like you to not only identify their intellectual property and their contract rights, but to be able to leverage it, put themselves in a position where they can properly leverage and protect those things, not just for now, but for generations and generations to come. All right. So here's just a little bit of me speaking on the news and at different events. Now, like you, I'm a dreamer, and I guess you can call dreamer visionary. if you are creating things, it's possible that you already have a dream, right? You have a dream of creating something and creating wealth that maybe the people that came before you have not done, right? So being a dreamer is fine, but we have to make sure we put action behind it, because we can dream all day, but if we're not going to put action behind that to protect the things that we're dreaming about and that we're creating, then it's all for nothing. As a little girl at the age of 4, y'all, I always wanted to be an attorney. Now, I'm not going to lie. The type of law that I've wanted to practice in has changed and pivoted over time, but the goal and the purpose and the gift of being an attorney to protect other people and to protect entrepreneurs just like you, it has never subsided, right? Never subsided. So it's possible that the things that you're creating now are germanely connected with who you've always been. And so you want to make sure that you're protecting that, because it really is not just your birthright, but your spiritual birthright, your spiritual wealth. Okay. And when we recognize that, it also connects to our financial wealth. But you have to do things initially to make sure that you can get along that level of sustainability for the future. Now, I went to law school, started my own business, and people didn't tell me that I had to do some of this stuff when I was in law school. This is one thing that law school did not prepare me for. It did not prepare me for recognizing how I need to do business. It did not prepare me for saying, hey, you're going to need a trademark when you're out there creating stuff. No, I had to learn on my own. But because I had to learn on my own does not mean that you have to learn on your own. The real world will teach you many things, right? But sometimes we can skip the curve if we just learn from people who've already been through it, right? Just like other attorneys, I took an oath to protect entrepreneurs just like you. And today I'm also taking an oath again to make sure that you have something else in your wheelhouse to help protect the brands that you're creating so that you can create the generational wealth that you desire. All right. Now, here's a lesson or a nugget I want you guys to think about as you're creating new things in your life or in your business, that every great win requires a mountain to be conquered. Whatever that win might be to you, don't worry that it's not making the type of money that you wanted to make right now. What you need to do is be in the mindset that because I'm creating something, I'm already acting in the way that he is, the way that he designed me to be. God, like he was the major creator, right? And so my win, I know is gonna come at a price or at a sacrifice, but I have everything that I need to be able to conquer all of that. And one of the ways you can do it right now is to conquer it with trademarks. Make sure you properly brand it as well. All right. So listen, what is a trademark? Because sometimes people don't really know. And before we get into the application process, I just want to make sure y'all have this background information. A trademark is a noun, it can be a verb, and technically it's our intellectual property. So people will trademark nouns all the time. It could be a word, a phrase, a symbol, design. It can be a combination of any of those things. It has to identify a particular good or service that you have. And when we think about a good is typically a product. So I have a cup here. This cup is a good. It is a movable object. It is a thing, right? Goods can also be, maybe I download a podcast. If I can download a podcast, then it is a good. The end product of what I'm downloading is something that I've purchased. Although it's in a digital format, it is a product, not necessarily a service. It is a product. All right. A trademark is also a verb. So it is the thing that we do to go through the process to protect the goods and the services that are identified with the nouns that we've connected it to. And then lastly, intellectual property, it is coming from our own minds, right? So we are literally creating something from the intellect that we have from our own heads. And it is showing the result of our own creativity or our invention of something new. Now, I wasn't going to do this, but I'm going to share this because although this training is only about the application, I want you guys to keep the pitfalls in mind about the process, because once you file your application, it just doesn't stop there. All right. It just doesn't stop there. So I'm going to talk about a few of the common pitfalls that people fall into around trademarks. So you'll be aware of them and you can get ahead of the curve. Sounds good? All right. So here are some things that people typically struggle with. One, not understanding the process at all. So USPTO website, it's a lot of information out there. It can be a little bit overwhelming for some people, but try to educate yourself on the process. So as a high level overview, guys, you fill out your application, you submit it, but then it's going to have to get assigned to an examiner. An examiner is someone who is an attorney, and they're working specifically on the USPTO side. All right. So then when they get a chance to look at your application, they're going to probably, move your application through without any hiccups. If you've done everything correctly and you're showing proper proof of use and your name is befitting of being protected, then you might be good. But if there's something that is the matter, then that examining attorney could come back to you and say, hey, we have an issue here that needs to be either fixed, or you need to provide me adequate proof, or maybe you need to disclaim certain things because we need to make sure that we're not allowing basic, generic, or descriptive type of words to get through to our application process. All right. So then once you get over that hurdle, and if you've provided all the information, you may get an actual registration. And there's so many different things that can go back and forth to that. What I will say is think about joining my next trademark masterclass, because then we dive really, really deep, specifically through all these pitfalls. All right. Next thing I want you to do is, if you need legal support, get it. Don't wait. The sooner you can, the better, because then you have someone who understands what you're creating, understands the brand, and can help you throughout the entire process. Don't fall victim to scams. So one of my doctor clients, we filed a trademark for her, and she sent me an email. She was so confused. She was like, Sivonnia, I thought I already paid for this. You have to be on the lookout. Do not send people money because you think it came from the USPTO or some other third party. When you file your application, you should be paying your application fee directly to the USPTO. If you have legal support and they're filing it for you, then you would pay your attorney whatever their fee is on top or either inclusive of whatever your filing fee would be. All right. So there should never be third-party money going out. There should never be money going out to any third party, because these people will reach out to you in your email. They will reach out to you by mail, and they will tell you that you have to pay them X amount of dollars. All right. So be on high alert for that, guys. These scammers are extremely intuitive and smart, and you will never recognize that this is a actual scam in my inbox. All right. So keep watch on that. I will also recommend that you understand not just the short-term process of your mark, but the long-term process of it, right? Your mindset. So don't just approach your application from what I'm doing right now. Think about all of the ways that you want to use that particular brand so you can create the most robust application possible to protect yourself, protect your brand, and protect the things, the services, and the goods that it's connected with. Pay attention to your file. All right. So if there's an email that you don't really use or monitor, don't use that email address as the email that you're going to be communicating back and forth with the USPTO office. If you miss something and you're not paying attention, it's possible that your application it'll die. If you don't provide, if an examining attorney says, hey, I need you to give me X amount of information so that I can make sure that this is a good application to get through to registering, and you don't, then you can end up abandoning that application. So you don't want to do that. And we kind of talked about responding to office action letters. That's pretty much how the examining attorney will respond to you, is in an office action letter, and they'll give you a date. You want to make sure you calendar those dates so you don't miss deadlines. All right. And then provide your adequate proof of use. Adequate proof of use means whatever class that you file your application in, you need to have evidence to show that you're actually using that mark the way that you're asking them to protect it. And I'm going to show you examples of that, because I went and prepared my proof of use ahead of this meeting so you guys can see what it looks like. And we'll go through that as well. Also, make sure you properly research your name, research your mark, all right? Because if you are using a brand name and it happens to be in the same class as somebody else, USPTO office is going to stop you. And going back to the statute, not the statute, but the stat that I gave you before, you don't want to end up on the other side of a brand saying, hey, you owe us some money for trying to, for infringing on our mark. All right. So don't waste your money by not doing this stuff, and don't waste your time. All right. Now, you need to do this. Why should you trademark? It's because you don't want to make a financial investment into building a brand that you have not created or protected, right? And so if you start making these investments into building a brand that you've never even created, guess what? You might have to go back to the drawing board to rebrand, to refile applications, to maybe even pay somebody else a large sum of money so they don't sue you behind in federal court. Okay? A lot of entrepreneurs believe that they don't need to go to this next step of the process because they're like, oh, well, I'm not going to get sued. Nothing has happened yet. That is the worst mindset to have as an entrepreneur. Just because it hasn't happened doesn't mean that it won't or that it can. All right. You guys are here because you believe that you need a trademark. So kudos to you for even being here, because having a trademark is the first step, one of the first steps to really protecting your brand. And some people will say, well, you know what? I'll just do it later. Here's what I want to say to you guys. Don't just wait after this training. Make sure you put it in action. Even if you're just utilizing the PDF copy application that I've given you today, start now, getting to the flow of recognizing this application and understanding all of the pieces that go into it, so you can file your applications, not just today or tomorrow, but any other time that you're creating things. All right. All right. So here's some things you got to think about when you are filing your trademark application. Is your mark strong? USPTO office will not provide trademarks to brands that are generic. So that can be anything like the coffee shop. Coffee shop is very generic, or bed and breakfast is very generic. Some brands, if they're descriptive, like a summit or conference, they're not going to trademark that because it's just too descriptive. It's not an arbitrary type of name that is deserving of its own mark. But when you start having something that may be suggestively descriptive, meaning I could have a brand name that it might be descriptive in a different class, but because it doesn't actually describe the thing that I'm doing with my brand, now it might be more suggestive descriptive. So now your brand is a little bit stronger, but not quite. Where USPTO says, hey, this brand is super distinctive or fanciful, is when it doesn't describe what it is that you do. And it's not generic to just say, hey, this is the camera shop. You're in a better position to get a trademark. So think about the brands I currently have. What are you sporting about? Would you know what that brand is? Does it describe something? The only way you would know is if you have already interacted with my brand. What are you sporting about is a podcast, it's entertainment services. My other brand, Protector of Athletes, is inherently distinctive. Okay. So you want to think about the strength of your mark and make sure you stay away from anything that is generic and descriptive. Now, y'all ready to register this mark? Today, what I'm going to register is my Athletes Making Moves mark, which I should have done quite a while ago, guys. The mark that I registered prior to that was the NIL Combine mark, so this is the USPTO office. So basically, United States Patent and Trademark Office. What you want to do, if you have not already, is to create an account. And you can do that here. You can do that down here. All right. You will also have to create a 2-step authentication to verify your identity. You'll be able to do that once you log in, or before you log in. I've already done mine, so we won't go through that step in this process. Now, what I'm going to do is log in. I'll show you guys the sign up page because I think that's probably what's going to come up first. All right, so here's what it looked like to create your account. You put in your information, go to next. Honestly, I can't tell you everything else that happened after this because it's been a while since I created my account. But once you create it, you don't have to do it again. You can just sign in. So my email is already populated, and USPTO will send a code to your email. And you're just gonna verify that two-step authentication. And then I'm gonna put in a code. And I always ask to remember the browser, at least for the day, because I don't want to be trying to check codes left and right. You'll be able to see all of the different forms that you can file. You can even click here and it'll create more, show you more of the documents that you can find, or you can search here. So since I'm creating a new application, and this is going to just be an application for me, I'm not going to file anything for a client because I don't want their personal information to, kind of be out there. So I'm going to click here for a new application, and you're going to file a TEAS application. So the TEAS is more of the streamlined process. If you end up forgetting something, and we'll talk about that as we go along, but if you end up forgetting something, it will kick it back to a standard form. It'll charge you another $100, depending on whatever that mistake might have been that you made. All right, so at this point, you guys should have your TEAS Plus PDF applications out. There might be some things that look a little bit different just because it's in PDF form, but just look at the different boxes or groups of information on your document and take your notes according to that, okay? Now, here's also some resource information that, they'll tell you, hey, before you file, watch this video. I would definitely recommend, if you're going to do all this by yourself, to really immerse yourself into any of the educational services that are available with USPTO, with my office, or wherever you can find the information so you can have the best information possible to move forward. Now, I'm going forward as a TEAS Plus. That fee is $250 per class. I've already mapped out, which is why you guys have to think about long-term what you're doing. I've already mapped out the classes that I'm probably going to be filing in. Class 41 is definitely one of them. And I might end up doing two more classes. So we're talking about 225 times 3. So that's 675. All right. I'll see how I feel as I go. Now, is an attorney filing this application? If you do have an attorney filing it, don't worry about it. I am an attorney, so I'm going to keep it as yes. And if you have something that you previously used, you can just upload it here. I don't have anything that I previously used, so I'm going to click continue. All right, owner of the mark. I'm putting my name, so last name, first name, middle initial. Okay. So I'm going to put my name because my goal is to register this brand as its own entity. And once I do that, I'm going to personally sell this brand to the entity. So I'm going to click individual, but it's important that you recognize how you're listing your name and the entity type, because if you have a brand and you're saying, or you try to file a case later against somebody else and you say your company owns the brand, you could get in trouble with USPTO. And you can be looked at as being a fraudulent applicant. They can pull your brand, all right? They can pull your protection. So make sure you recognize that in terms of what entity and who's the actual owner of the mark, because only the owner of the mark has the right to enforce the trademark rights. All right. And I am in the United States, so I'm going to select that. I'm not using a DBA, so I'm leaving this blank. Internal address. I'm going to put my home. Now, your mailing address, you have to make sure if you don't want it to be publicly viewable, then you put the address that you want to have on file, because I can go to anyone's trademark and pull up their address. So I typically do my work address. All right, so this page is really more of the basic information. Uncheck this box if the domicile address and mailing address of the trademark owner holder are not the same. All right. Recheck this box if the domicile address and mailing address of the trademark owner holder are the same. I'll keep it as the same. That's fine. I'll keep it as the same. All right. I do have a fax number, so I'm going to put that there. And my phone number, email address, and my website. Because this is Athletes Making Moves, that is the website address that I'm utilizing. Go back and just make sure and take this out because it auto-filled. So I'm just double checking to make sure everything looks right. All right, there's a button, add owner at the bottom. If you've created an agreement with somebody that y'all own the brand, then you're going to want to add that owner and their information to the application. So you'll both own, or if it's multiple owners, so you'll be able to show that. And either one of you can enforce the rights. Now, on this page, you're going to talk about the type of mark that you have. So Athletes Making Moves is the name of the brand. And I'm going to preview it here. All right, so that's my standard font. Some people will do, let me move this out of the way so I can see. Some people will do the special form stylized. That's like your logo. Now, what you got to keep in mind is when you do an application for your logo or a special form, stylized or design form, you have to trademark it in all of your other classes in a separate application. So for me, if I'm going to do like 3 classes today, then that means I have to do a separate application for the other 3 classes, and that's like over $1,200. All right. So some people might say, oh, well, one trademark to file is only $225. Okay. But that means you're only trademarking your brand in one class for a specific thing. So if you don't really think robustly about how your brand is going to move in the marketplace and the services and the products that you have attached to it, you're going to leave yourself open to possible attack, meaning other people are going to be could utilize that brand for a different class that you never protected it in. All right. All right. The additional statement section of this form is used to enter various legal or informational statements. This is, so you want to pay attention to this, because let me click the box so you can see what it looks like. There's a literal translation. So typically for your frameworks, you're going to want to be able to describe that. All right. Sometimes the USPTO may say, hey, you need to disclaim this part of your mark. So you would do that for descriptive terms. For instance, if the first part of your mark was, something extremely fanciful, but the end part of it was conference, then you would just say there's no claim made to use the exclusive right, or I don't have the exclusive right to use conference apart from the market shown. All right. Because then what you're saying is, I'm not trying to gain exclusive right for this very generic or descriptive term, because I'm going to tell you one thing, they're not going to register your mark. So sometimes you have to make sure you provide those disclaimers. The translations are here. So if there's an English translation or a meaning of a word, you can put that stuff here. If it's something that's not of like a foreign language, but you've created it, you can put that stuff here as well. All right. This is also important. The meaning or significance of wording, letters, or numerals. So you can identify what that means. And if the word doesn't have a foreign language meaning, you can include what that word would be here. Okay. If your mark is based on your personal identification, so if I go and trademark Sivonnia DeBarros, I would have to file a consent and also signify here that my mark is based on a particular person. And then use of the mark in another form. So if you are using your mark anywhere else and it's in a different type of format than what you had previously sought to be registered, then you can provide that information to USPTO so you can get more robust protection on your mark. Now, here's where this concurrent use thing, if you guys have a mark that's been previously registered, I'm sharing this with you because I have a client that went through this. Someone else filed his trademark. He got hit with, hey, we can't register this. I came on board. We're negotiating right now with a company for concurrent use. So sometimes if there's a bigger brand who might have the same name, and they might be in the same class, but y'all typically serve two completely different audiences, you might be better off approaching them for concurrent use. Coexistence is what we say, coexistence agreement, to see if you can utilize that mark. All right. So you want to pay attention to this box, because if you don't click it and there's something else that you have to provide and you don't, USPTO will hit you with another $100 for whatever that is, because it's going to put your application on the standard track. So I don't have any of this stuff with athletes making moves, so I'm going to uncheck the box and click continue. But yeah, definitely pay attention. Make sure you research the name and pay attention to marks that may be the same or very similar to yours in the exact same class, because you will get hit with the likelihood of confusion office letter from USPTO. All right. So now here is the good stuff. Here's the good stuff. This is where we start adding our goods and services. All right. This is where we start adding our goods and services. So I've already mapped out what I want to do for athletes making moves, because I know how I've been using it and I know what I want to use. I know how I want to protect it. Let's say it like that. I know how I want to protect it. All right. Now, what you can do here is you can search exactly for what it is that you want to protect your brand with. So I've already searched for my service areas, and the first one that I'm going to utilize is class 41, educational services. But there are different components to it that I want to make sure I add. So here's a nugget for you guys to think about. You see how there's so many different 41s here? They are speaking to different things that are within the class of 41. So you want to be very keen on what it is that your brand is doing, because if your proof of use doesn't match up with what it is that you say you're doing, they'll give you another opportunity to show proof of use, but you won't get the protection until you actually do. So pay attention to that. So one thing I'm looking for is educational services, not television. Let's see, train connection. Nope, no federal government. I'm looking for online workshops. Educational services, namely providing educational speakers in the field of, that one's close, but not quite what I'm looking for. Here's one that I'm looking for, namely providing blank educational seminars, workshops in the field of blank. Love it. I'm gonna click that one. Educational classes, seminars in the field of, basically the same. Okay. There's one that I'm looking for online. workshops. Here we go. Providing online educational, perfect. Okay, that one's pretty much the same. Then I want to see if I can do in person. Here we go. Live and online. The reason why you want to do this is because you want to make your class as robust as possible to protect the brand. And then I'm also looking for courses. So now that I have, let me see if I can, if course load will come up in this one. Professional educational course. Okay. So I'm gonna insert these that I have so far, and then I'm gonna find the course one. And y'all, I'm still just on one class. This is just one class. As far as I can see. Are you sure you want to remove this item? How do I cancel? All right, so then you see all these courses that come up. A lot of you might have created a course, but you gotta look at what exactly is your course about. So I don't have a golf course. I don't have an instruction in terms of primary college or secondary college. What I'm looking for is something that is an educational course where I can teach anybody. So just like what I'm doing for you guys. All right. So educational services, namely conducting blank seminars or workshops in the field of blank and distribution of course materials in connection therewith. This sounds good. Hold on. Educational services, provide a course, instruction. I don't want to do at a college level. Oh, this one's good. Intellectual property. Okay, so I'm gonna do those two as well. And I'm gonna insert them. Okay. But I'm not done. I think I'm not gonna worry about the third class. That's class 35, online retail stores. I'm gonna focus on the clothing and retail for books, because I think they fall in the same class. So if you have clothing, you're thinking about registering a brand for clothing, here we go. I'm specifically looking for class 25 right now. All right. So clothing, and I want something with hats. Hats, let me see, shirts. See if anything comes up. Nope. Sweater guards, I don't want that. Clothing to khakis, nope. I don't want clothing for animals. I'm not technically a retail clothing store, so that doesn't really work for me. I don't want thobs or alterations. What I'm looking for is clothing. I have hoodies, but they're not necessarily jackets. So ideally, it'd be cool if I can find a clothing where I can fill in the additional language, like clothing, namely hats. Here we go. Nope, that's extenders. Figure skating clothing, nope. Okay, let's go to the next list. See how tedious this is, y'all? because there are all these little subcategories for each class. Clothing belts of textile. Clothing straps, nope. Oh, that's cool for athletic use, but I don't really have anything for athletic use. No reflective clothing. Okay, we're gonna go to the next slide. This one's getting closer. Women's clothing, but I also have clothing that's unisex. Here we go. Clothing, namely, indicate the specific item. So this one, most clothing items fall in class 75, except those that are adapted for a specific purpose or that serve a life-preserving function, because that would be something totally different. You got something with a life-preserving function. All right, so I got that one. And then I want to try to also see if I can get retail in the same class for books, notebooks, or stickers. If I can't, what I have to do is do it in class 35. So we're gonna insert this class. Let's see if anything can come up for that one. Oh, you know what? I may have to do class 35 for real. Yeah, online retail store services featuring download. Yep. I'm gonna have to do it. So service featuring downloadable retail bookstores. Online retail store service featuring downloadable. We'll do this because I have something in that class that I wanna. Online retail, department drug. Okay, book, etc. I can do that one too. Okay, so looks like I'm gonna actually file three classes, y'all. All right, let me insert these. It's a lot of stuff, isn't it? Right, so when you see the blank pieces to the mark, that means you gotta fill it in. All right, so for educational services, specifically for name, image, and not image and likeness, for athletes making moves, educational services, namely providing educational workshops and seminars, educational workshops, webinars, seminars, and seminars. I'm gonna do events because of for the NIL combined, events and seminars in the field of business, sports, entertainment, name, image, and likeness. NIL. Let me go back and put in, since these have commas in between. Other name. Identity, identity, oh, I can't spell. Okay. Identity, Okay. Now I do the same stuff. So guess what? I'm going to take the same description. I'm going to copy and put in these boxes. If your stuff changes, then you change it to whatever it is that you do online, offline, live, and all of that stuff. Insert this part. All right. So now once you've inserted all of your classes, now you have to assign the basis. I typically don't worry about these last two because they're for foreign applications. So more than likely, unless you're registering an application that's for foreign service or good, you're going to be working with class 1A or class 1B. The difference is 1A means that you are using the mark right now in commerce, not you using the mark, trying to figure out what you want to do with it and you never put it out there. It means that you are using it right now in commerce. Section 1B means, okay, I have this idea, I have this brand, I want to go ahead and protect it right now before someone else does, but you show proof later. Here's the thing to think about. When you file this application for 1B, you still file an application fee. And every time that you have to push that application back to show proof, you're going to file another application fee just so that you can have more time to show proof later. So you might as well get it done right the first time. Go ahead and use it. And showing proof of use is not hard. Literally send an email or create a social media, create a social media picture or something, advertisement, and put it out there. Now your brand is in the stream of commerce. Okay. So I'm using this brand, have been using it for quite a while. I launched this brand in 2000. I started writing in 2020. And then we did our launch July of 2021. So I'll probably use that date of my first date of use. So let's go here. Section 1A is what I'm going to utilize to assign to my classes. I mean, assign to the classes that I'm going to file on today. All right. What happened? Well, you may assign 1A based on multiple goods with the same class. You must assign separate 1A bases to different classes since you must specify the dates of use. Okay, so let's do it first. Let's go ahead and hit. Let's take these off for a second. And we'll just assign this to 1A. All right. Now, here is the specimen part, which is your proof of use. Now, I'm going to show y'all what I created for my proof of use. I always create a folder that is my asset folder. So I don't have to rummage around to find anything. If y'all can see this, let me know. I don't think you can. Let me share this full screen. All right. So I've created a document. What I'll do is I'll pull up a Word document and I'll start categorizing the things that I've done in those particular categories. So for events and workshops for educational purposes, boom, here's the first event for Athletes Making Moves, the book launch. And we share so much educational pieces on that. And then the next few, anatomy of NIL and the NIL combine. They might give me a little pushback with this because it has basically a different brand, but it's still part of the Athletes Making Moves brand. So now I have this little video that shows specifically Athletes Making Moves brand. I post it. I talk about the different things that we're covering, the personal branding, legal branding, holistic care, finance, insurance, all of that. All right. Now diving into the tips, I'm providing educational tips. Boom, here's a live webinar that I've shared that I'm going to do. So now you're seeing the live webinar things that you say you're going to do. Educational webinars or courses. Here's the social media proof of me utilizing the name for a course. You can see me circle it on Let me edit this. You can see me circle it on my website. I typically, there are some applications, if you look through, people might only give one proof of use, but I'm just like, you know what? I'll give you whatever you want because I don't want to have to go through this back and forth with them. So this is where this particular document stops. However, I printed off the full web page for the course proof. And this is what it looks like. So they can literally see my website for the course. And I'm going to have to drop the link in there too, but it also helps that it says Athletes Making Moves course right at the top of the printout. All right, so that's kind of a way that you start to create your proof of use. If it's something that you're building up, then make sure you catalog and keep copies or clips of what it is that you have created. So here's another example for the clothing and retail store. This young lady is wearing a sweater that has the name Athletes Making Moves. Here's the logo with the name of retail information. Like, so we got shirts, we got backpacks and all this stuff. Then here's the website, and it takes you to the shop and it shows you what you can do there. But also inside the shop, here's a screenshot of all the things that we sell in the shop. Here's another social media. Then I went as far to go to my dashboard and pull out orders that I've had to show that this brand has been in the stream of commerce. They may give me kickback because AMM just technically says, it's just an acronym. It's not necessarily Athletes Making Moves. But boom, here we go. Well, here's a digital retail store where people can download certain items. All you got to do is go here, click those buttons and download. And I show it here as well. So you can actually listen to the event from last year. All right. And then here's the link to the downloadable book. So everything that I'm asking for, I'm showing proof of it. Then here's my drop shipping. So on the back end, I do have a drop shipper. This is Printify, but I deleted their name because I don't want, well, it's here. It's in different places. But as you can see, Athletes Making Moves. Boom. Absolute. Let me highlight this because I don't be needing. Some people don't want to do their work and be like, oh, we didn't see it. It's right there on the freaking document. It won't let me highlight. All right. Anyway, so I pull up some orders from Printify. And the ones that kind of could give away people's names, I just redacted it. All right. So you can show you have retail, you've been selling things, and it's in the stream of commerce, and I deserve protection around it. Okay. Now let me go back to the application. All right. So now attach specimen. This is 41 educational services. So what I'm going to do is only attach to things associated with educational services. That is the course, and that is that's the course, and that is the webinars, the tips, and all that stuff. So those are the only things that I'm going to be attaching for that. What you do is you'll go in, and this is why you want to be organized and have a file specifically for your stuff. Because if you don't, you'll be all over the place. And y'all can see how quickly I can just go straight to my stuff. All right. I'm going to do this promo video. Oh, you know what? I forgot it only lets you do one freaking thing at a time. Jesus Lord. I hope this video isn't too long. And then you're going to click attach. Yep, it's too long. Let me see. Attached file is not valid audio. Our file cannot be, that's fine. All right, so I'm gonna choose a different file. I already have it screenshotted, but I was gonna give them, here's the course proof. I'm gonna do that one. Attach. Oh, you know what? I may have needed to have it in MP3. That's what it is. That's fine. If they want it later, give it later. All right. Now, like I said, all I'm doing is providing stuff for the educational proof. Oh my God. Come on. You change a lot, you look a different guy. I can't stop thinking about you since last night. Do you feel the same, feel the same, feel the same, feel the same? Imagine if we did. No, I apologize so much. I've been having the worst issues. I don't know if it's because it's so cold here, but this is ridiculous. Lord, please don't let it have made me miss out. Whew, thank you, Jesus. All right. Attach. Praise your name, God. Oh, all right. So now once you've attached your proof of use, you're going to return the form. It doesn't look like a lot, but remember, one of the documents have multiple screenshots of proof of use, which is your evidence. All right. So now what you're going to do, I am checking a color specimen. So you're going to check that box, and now you're going to describe what it is. So, documents attached, illustrate live and online webinars, seminars, and educational tips. Through social media, advertising, and through screenshots. No, you know what? Yes, it was. Screenshots of athletes making moves, website, event, dashboard. So you're just basically giving a description of what you're providing. So web page, specimens into the web page. Definitely athletes making moves. .com, and I'm just gonna put today's date. First use anywhere. Let's say 7, because that's basically when I officially launched the brand. That was in 2021, and same date. Now I have to add additional URLs because they're gonna check the form. Although I put it into the document, they're more than likely gonna go back and try to check those links to make sure it's legit. All right. So is this yep, this is the one with the courses. That's the dashboard, so they can't get into that. But boom, this is why I do all of this beforehand, so I'm not scrambling around and trying to find it. Okay. I'm just gonna do the same date. I know it's a long, tedious process, right, guys? But if you don't do this part right, you are going to get hit with an office action letter. That's for sure. All right, I'm just creating more link spaces so I can go and grab it. Okay, got that one. I already got that one. And I'm gonna do one more link, which would be my landing page to Athletes Making Moves course. I thought I had nothing. Why don't want to let me just edit the text so I can get it. That is so weird. All right, let me just copy this backhand real quick. Yeah, page. It's been so long I didn't see you on mine. You change a lot, you look a different guy. I can't stop thinking about you since last night. Do you feel the same, feel the same, feel the same, feel the same? All right, and then today's date. Okay, y'all, that's literally one. And I might get hit with, oh, we don't use the commas. Trying to remember where their comma things are. I don't see. All right. So I'm gonna click this box to assign my filing basis. All right, so as you can see, 1A is hit here on the right-hand side. Now I have two more filing bases that I have to provide, and that would be the clothing and the online retail store. Now to come to think of it, guys, since this part right here, the online digital retail is pretty much digital. What I'm gonna do, I don't know why I didn't think about this before, but what I'm gonna do is put this on its own sheet, so there would be no confusion for what I'm showing. I'm gonna cut this, and then what I'm gonna have to do is just resave it, resave that document to something different. We've been in a lot lately. We can just talk about it. I know we can make it, baby. The word about it. Right. Let's save this. Our love is stronger than that. Do you believe that too? Look in my eyes, into my heart. I know I'm everything you pray for, my love. Been waiting too long goods, goods, books, we might go a little bit over time. I had to resave that. It's clothing retail. I'm going to go and resave this one so it only speaks to the clothing and retail. So you can see the difference, right? The other one's about digital products, where this one is about clothing retail products. I have to make sure it's good because I'm just thinking too, I should have probably kept the same name to take that other document out. All right. So let's do the clothing. That's class 25. I'm going to do this assigning section 1A basis, and I'm going to go through this process the exact same way. Okay, attach my specimen. All right, and that was clothing. So let me make sure this one has the redacted. Yep. Do this print on demand, redact it, and then I'm gonna attach the Word document that I just updated that you guys saw. And let's see which one it is. I think it's this one. Yep, because it's a minute ago. Yeah. And let me just double check it too. Y'all do not be afraid to go back and look at your stuff, because I mean, if I was to put the other document in here, it wouldn't necessarily hurt me. But sometimes these examiners, you could give them something and they just don't pay attention to it. Or they confuse it with something else. So I just try to be as streamlined as possible. Now I'm going to return back to the form. Because that was simple. That was specifically for my clothing. All right. It does have a color specimen. Illustrating printouts from drop shipping of athletes making moves. Apparel screenshot of athletes making moves online store and back end dashboard orders. In social media advertisement and postings of other product. No, I'm just saying clothing because then they're gonna be like, put that in the other one. The web page, athletes making moves, and actually this has its own link. So let me pull that. we go. Shop. I'm gonna add additional because I want to put the social media on there. Here's one. And the date, this was April 2022 when I launched that one. This was June 2021. Okay, so all right, I'm just gonna check really quick and make sure I haven't missed any web pages. UEXC. This one.
Take my eye off you. Can't take my eye off you.
All right. Now, date of first use. Now I'm thinking if that was posted in June of 2021, it wasn't July. So I'm gonna say May, probably May 1st of 2021 as I was gearing up for that. And then we can do June 6th. What date was on this? It's June 24, 2021. So what that means is I need to go back and change the dates of the other one. Actually, well, that was 2020. Okay. So remember, when you use your mark anywhere, it doesn't mean that you use it in commerce, but you want to be sure about the date that you use it anywhere, and then you're gonna have to show the date that you first used in commerce. So I'm going to hold these dates here for a moment, and I'm going to utilize those dates on the next. Now I'm going to assign a filing basis for that. And let me do class 35. You can see over here, it's the only one that doesn't have an filing basis. All right. So now, online retail store services featuring downloadable sports. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is hit section 1A. And it brings up the exact same thing as it did for the other classes. Now for you, this process may not be this long if you are doing something smaller, not as many classes and not as many things that you're trying to protect, but I'm trying to make this as robust as possible. So this is the online retail that I just saved. I'm gonna copy that and attach. All right, that's the only document I have for that one. So I'm gonna return. Downloadable articles, event audio recordings, panel session audio recordings, downloadable event transcripts, and electronic books. This is athletes making moves. Let's see. I didn't put any specific links on these, so they literally have to pay to get in here. If they make me do it, then I'll do it. Here's one, account DV bundle. I'll throw that one in there. Okay. And 5/1/2020, date of first use, I'm gonna say 6/24/2021. All right, signed filing basis. All right, I want to edit this. Take it off. Okay, there we go. So I'm gonna probably have to go through each one so I can change this date. 05/7/06/24. 2021. Y'all see how tedious this this is. Hey. Right. Number 3. L is 1, 2, 3. Okay, that was fixed. Well, I wonder if it put it up to the top. It's fixed. And perfect. All right. Yep, that one's fixed. All right. Sign the filing basis. Perfect. All right, so now I'm gonna hit continue. I got all of my filing basis for each class. All right, and I'm gonna click continue. Now, because I'm an attorney, I'm gonna put my name here. If you had an attorney filing for you, this will be the part where they actually select their information or insert their information. And beware of some of those firms out there who are just run-of-the-mill companies to file trademarks. There's a lot of fraud that's been happening. USPTO is cracking down on people, and you don't want to be one of those folks with your application pulled from USPTO because of the company you were dealing with. Now, when I tell you this stuff gets serious and people just, they don't think about it. Okay. Email address. It might make me put in a different email. If it does, I will. Because typically your attorney, yeah, see, your attorney will have a different email address than your personal email address. So what I'm gonna do is utilize another address that I will use for my file. And this one, good standing. All right. Now that has it as my primary, but I'm also going to put my actual firm address in here that I utilize all the time. You want to make sure you have the address that you're going to check 24/7 so you can have this top of mind. So I got 3 classes, 25, 35, and 41. The fee per class is $250. My total fee today is $750. I can also sign directly on the form, but first I have to declare. All right, I'm declaring this using commerce. This is okay. All right, and I'm promising not to make any willful statements as part of this form. And then you're going to want to follow their recipe, so to speak, for your electronic signature. Otherwise, it'll give you that note that you got to sign it again. And then I'm going to sign my name as the individual and or attorney, because I am the individual that's owning the mark, but I'm also an attorney on the file. Okay. If you were doing this by yourself, then you would just select individual or owner. Now I'm going to choose validate. All right, so I see my information. I can click here to look at all the information I put in. I can save the form, but I don't want to save the form. Let me read this. Okay. If you have read it, understand the notes. Yep. So read your notices, y'all. If this is your first time going through by yourself, read your notices. And now I'm going to pay and submit. All right, and then I'm going to submit payment. And that's that, guys. That is filing the application. I save and download the PDF file, If this was a client that I was doing it for, I would send them the receipt of this PDF file so they can see, and I would send them notice and let them know, like, hey, we gotten your application filed. And you can see all this information here. And then you'll also have a backdrop or a copy of the form that you have filled out. And as you can see, you see how robust this class 41 is. All right. So you're gonna want to make sure that you really, really protect your brands as much as possible. But it can get expensive, like I said. All right, guys. All right, so we are coming up on the end, guys. Kind of a idea of really protecting your brand. So this is Amobi Akugo. He owns a company called A Frugal Athlete. He's no longer a professional athlete, but he was when I represented him. He was a professional soccer player. And Amobi has multiple trademarks, but this company saw a lot of the work that he does with his company. He does a lot of finance work, and they wanted him to sign a contract that utilized his name, likeness, and his image. And we had to really have a conversation about, okay, is this really what you want to do? Because you could have worked so hard for this brand, created your own trademark, but are you really going to just sign it over to somebody else? So we got to be really mindful of that, because protecting your brand doesn't just end with filing a trademark. It's all the things that you do after that. Okay. So my question is, would you like to be my next success story? I know that you just went through this trademark application training, and I hope you got a lot out of it. I believe that you did. But here's one thing that I want to help you guys with is really securing your brands through contracts. So many of us leave a lot of money on the table and we don't really leverage what we have with the trademarks that we've created because we don't really know. All right. So I'm hosting a contract kit accelerator. If you have not seen the CEO contract kit, is fire. It's really, really fire. If you haven't seen it, let me know and I'll send you a link to it. But I'm offering the accelerator at $3,500 and it can be paid in increments if that is your jam. So here is the benefits for it. One, you'll get all the tools and resources you need to protect your business. You'll save thousands and thousands of dollars on legal services. Okay, listen. Can you imagine that? $3,500 basically for a year to have to work with an attorney. Get advice from people who have been in your shoes. All right. I know I'm an attorney, but guess what? I've had some business woes myself. But also leave feeling confident that your business and brand is safe and protected. Increase your review by understanding trademark value. All right. And then experience the relief and joy of crushing copycats. So people that come and try to take your stuff, part of this accelerator is not just about the contractual piece of it, but how do I protect the brand that I've created? So this is not for you if you just want to keep doing business as you've always have done. This is not for you if you're going to approach business from the mindset of, I don't have anything that is worth protecting. Or if you say, well, yeah, I want to be a millionaire, but I'm not ready for what it takes. If you want to become a millionaire, if you want to create sustainable financial wealth for yourself and for your family, well, then this opportunity is for you. If you know that you have brands that are worth $1 million, but your bank account just waiting to see it and catch up, I want you to come and join me. If you know that you need an opportunity or a way to protect what you already have created and to be able to negotiate and leverage the brands that you have inside of contracts, when you are negotiating with people, when there are opportunities to come up, then this is definitely for you. So you can join me for the CEO Contract Kit Accelerator. It will be hosted live. The retail value is $11,560. So let me show you what is included with this, because I have sat down to really create something robust. And I know people's time is extremely valuable, especially when you're in business for yourself. So we'll be doing 4 quarterly contract workshops. That's a value of over $2,000. You get workbooks for each workshop, y'all. Okay. One of the contract workshops, we're going to do $1 million negotiations. $1 million negotiation. And I kid you not, I just got a call yesterday. Young lady's like, hey, I have a multi 6-figure deal and I need a contract for, we're going to be talking about, like, that's the stuff I be doing. Okay. So I'm going to share with y'all how I help my clients to get more money out of their deals. And as a matter of fact, I told this young lady today, I was like, yeah, well, you need to go back to that lady and tell her you need another $100,000. All right. So listen, we're going to dive deep. Then we do monthly Q&A. So although the workshops are quarterly, I want to make sure that you have an opportunity to stay on track with that. And you get discount on trademark services, 25% off. So if there's something else that you need support on as far as your trademark is concerned, then I will give you 25% off of that. But here are the bonuses. Review your contract. So if you have a contract and you want it reviewed, I only want y'all. This is a $5,500 value. I review your contract, get complimentary office hours, bonus CEO contract checklist, and the kit. So I just said, have y'all seen that? I don't know if you have, but even if you didn't, if you joined this, you're going to get that as a bonus. So here's some success stories. I've had the fortune to work with amazing Kim Lewis and her husband, the owner of Curl Mix. And in fact, I was able to help protect their brand from some lawsuits that occurred in the Southern District of New York, federal court to be exact, and was able to get them out of both of those cases for literally, oh my gosh, I think both of them together, I want to say less than 13K. Okay. Here's another story. All right, Mr. Jalen Legrand, he owns Jacoy International and a very popular spiritual clothing brand, 316 Collection. I've been helping him crush copycats, but now we're also in the works of negotiating a coexistence agreement with a very popular entertainment company. Okay, so if all you had to do was just take the time to spend a moment educating yourself with an expert who's been around the block a time or two and help entrepreneurs just like you, would you take advantage of that opportunity? If all it took was a quick mindset shift to get you in the place where you need to be to recognize that you don't just want to be a millionaire, but you are, would you take advantage of that opportunity? Like that mind shift happened for me. So I'm speaking from experience. So 3,500 is the investment for the accelerator. If you are interested, you can take a picture of this screenshot. And here's what I also do. Instead of 7 days, I'll give you guys 30 days. All right. So satisfaction guaranteed. If you're like, listen, I don't want to do this accelerator, I want my money back. If it's within 30 days, I'll give you money back. All right. But wait, there's also bonuses. So we talked about this, the office hours, the contract checklist, and the kit. But I will also be unlocking my protection vault. That includes one thing that will cost you millions. This is actually one of the issues that I helped the Curl Mix brand with, and to help them avoid $1 million issues. All right. In a state that I don't even practice in New York. How about that? But then what's also included for this $1 million mistake is clarity on $1 million issues. I'm of the mindset that if we want to become millionaires, and if we're saying that we are, then we have to already start the process of grooming ourselves for that $1 million mindset. Do you get what I'm saying? So why not start now? But then you'll also get clarity on how the mistake occurs and steps to avoid. All right. Next, you'll also get the legacy protection training. This was a 2-day training that I did. You'll get clarity on legacy for yourself, the benefits of creating a legacy, clarity on why your legacy deserves protection, what you're doing now that could be threatening your legacy. You would think a lot of people know this, but they don't. And steps that you can take to increase your legacy protection. So with all this included, you're looking at a retail value of over $13,000, right? And then for a fast action bonus, if you guys take advantage today, I'll give you a 15-minute consult, and that is worth 175 minutes. 175 minutes. Oh my God, that is worth $175, y'all. All right. Don't sleep on that 15-minute call. People think it's not that much time, but you can talk about a lot of stuff in 15 minutes. You can talk about a lot of stuff in 15 minutes. So I will answer your burning legal question and provide feedback and guidance on moving forward. All right. Now, with that included, you're looking at a total value, retail value of over $11,000. So the question that you have to ask yourself is, am I worth it? Am I worth the investment for something that is going to help me to make sure that not only am I protecting the brand that is in my heart and my mind, or the way that I'm serving people, but am I worth the fact that I am a millionaire and I want to become a millionaire, right? Am I worth that protection? And is my legacy worth it? So, are you going to take action? Let me know. Let your girl know. All right. And I told you I have a gift for you, a free gift for you staying throughout. I do want to thank all of you for coming and staying at the end. And so you're going to get a link to this intellectual property category and registration log. So just make sure you check your email. Make sure you check your email so you can get that. And then I will go back here if you guys want to do that. What's that? How do y'all feel? Was it a lot?
It was a lot, but it did explain the process a lot better.
Good, good, good. All right,
And I can retain easily with a lot, so I loved it.
Okay, good. And it's gonna take me time to get the recording to you guys because there was so much delay with the internet that I'm gonna have to crop some of that out, so you're not having that same delay when you go back to review it. So let's jump to your questions. Ooh, this is a lot of questions. All right, let me see where. You ain't lying, Pam. People try to steal and take credit for you saying for your work. Oh, at your 9 to 5 all the time. Honey, listen, they will do that. All right. So should you place the mark as individual or business? What's the risk? Also elaborate more on classes of trademark. Okay, so for your first question, should you place the mark as individual or business? It depends on who officially owns your mark. So for me, I know how I want my mark to be owned. And because I don't have my business yet for the Athletes Making Moves, because if I'm going to be honest with you, that brand is not making money right now. And everything that I do under the brand is technically it's legal, right? It's me showing up as an attorney. So my law firm technically owns Athletes Making Moves brand, but I know I'm going to want to register that business by itself without it being owned by my law firm. And so therefore, for me, it makes sense for me to just individually own it. And then I can sell that brand to the company once I register that company. So it depends on how you're using it, if that makes any sense. All right. So if you have it as an individual, here's one thing that you could consider. Let's say you create a brand and you go into business with somebody, and that could be your contribution as well. You know how people say, okay, well, how much are we going to contribute? We're going to contribute 50% each, and we're going to contribute, to the expenses and all of this. But if you're actually coming in with assets, that can be valuated to be a part of the contribution that you provide as a co-owner to a company. The same thing as if you individually own an asset and you create your own company, you're 100% the contributor to that company, where your asset that you own could be the thing that is also utilized by that company. So it depends on you. You really want to think about this more so if you are enforcing the brand. If you're enforcing the brand and you're saying, hey, my business owns this mark, but technically it's you, you wouldn't have any opportunity to really stop somebody from doing something if your business doesn't really own the brand, but you do. So you have to think about how am I presenting myself with this brand, and in what format would I be enforcing the brand? Does that make sense?
So, yeah. So I have a business and I want to trademark my business name.
Okay.
Right. So but I created the business. It's my business. But I also want to trademark my name. So my name is also a business, right? And that's where it gets a little tricky. Do I do my name as an individual, or do I do my name as a business?
So when you trademark it, okay. So you're talking about on the first part of the form when it says individual or company.
Yeah.
Are you what is the entity? Are you operate?
LLCs.
It's an LLC. Um, if you're already using the name as a business, I would just utilize it as a
Business.
business. But you're gonna have to make sure that you provide that consent that your name is based on an actual human person,
Mhm.
and give consent, to the business to use the name.
And does it really matter if you're using a portion of your name?
It does matter.
Okay.
It
So
does
like,
matter. Even if it's a portion and they recognize it, you're gonna have to consent that part of your name is associated with the brand, and you're still gonna have to give consent for it.
yeah. So that clarifies, and I don't need you to explain the classes piece. It was clear in your video.
Okay. Okay. Cool. 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 Um, is it best to file your mark for all of the classes? This is from Kenyatta. What do you mean?
It was way earlier in the application process when you started to explain it later on. It
Okay.
clarified my question.
Okay. Now, one thing you guys did not see for the classes, you can, when you do your application, you can go and pull as many classes that you believe that you can show proof of use for, even if you can't right now. But you can assign, you see how it had me go through each individual class. So I couldn't group all of 41 with class 25 or 35. So let's say class 41 I'm using right now, but I want to be able to protect my brand later in these other classes. I can file in the exact same class and just use a different filing basis, meaning section 1A or section 1B. Section 1A is I'm already using the brand, so I can just associate that right now with the class that I'm filing my mark in. Section 1B, for example, if I went and selected all of 41 as section 1A, meaning I'm using my brand right now in the classes, in that particular class, I could go back to to mark 25. I'm sorry, mark 25. I could go back to class 25 and class 35. And in the same application, I could have selected 1B as a filing basis, meaning, yeah, I want to protect my mark in this class, but I don't have proof yet. Okay, so I think that kind of also speaks to this question, Kenyatta, because some people don't know that even if you are not using a mark, you can still get your application on file and show proof later. That way you can kind of beat everybody else to the punch.
Yeah, it was very clear. I think the part for me that was um a little confusing, like each of the classes had the same number. So like 41 or 35 was a whole bunch of them. So even if you select multiple of the same class, but the description is different, that's not
Mm-hmm.
going to charge you more. You're just
No,
charged one for that one class, right? Even though you selected multiple, I don't know what to call them, but multiple classes for the same number.
like exactly. So multiple subcategories for the same
Subcup.
class.
Okay, yes,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I meant to say.
Yep,
Okay,
it's
and
not
that's
going to charge you more
oh, interesting. Okay.
because you're still in the
And then
same class. You will just be showing different ways that you're utilizing the brand in that particular class.
got you. Okay, that was very helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And quick
And then
question.
I did have another question to that. Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
maybe you have the same similar one, but go ahead.
No, I was just asking. So when you need to do it 1A and then do a possible 1B, is that a same application or is that two separate applications?
You can do it in the same application.
Okay, perfect.
Let me hold on. I'm not sure if it'll show you here on the application, like the PDF part, but when you get to assigning your actual filing basis, let's see if it's on here. Okay, so you can search for your goods and services. And as you can see, you see this? This is kind of talking about what we were just talking about, Kenyana. How you got different things in the same class. All right. Here's a great example. So I got class 25 here and I got class 26. All right, just for purposes of this illustration. I can click both of class 25s and assign my filing basis as 1A. And then once I input all of that information, I'm going to click the button assign the filing basis. So then you're going to see on the side, 1A is going to be listed here for class 25. But let's say that these classes on the bottom are going to be class 26. But then I can select class 26 together and then select it as a section 1B. When you select it as a section 1B, you're not going to have to show proof of use at the time, because basically what you're saying is, I need more time to show you. I'm intending, you see this language? I'm intending to use this mark. And you can do it all in the exact same application. So you don't have to file in one class and one application and go file a whole nother class just to file for section 1B. You can do it all in the exact same application. You'll just assign the filing basis to the respective class of what you want to do, whether you're showing proof now or you're going to show proof later. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah, so irrespective you do the 1B, you still have to show proof. They wanna approve your application until you show proof.
Correct. So if you did 1B, if you did 1B for one class, so you could have this application and you might end up getting getting registered. Let's keep on the same illustration. You might get registered in class 25 because you showed proof of use. But if you have a filing basis for 1B in class 26, that was in the same application, once that time comes for you to show your proof, they're going to send you a message and they're going to say, hey, your deadline is coming up to show proof of use, file your statement of use. If you don't have your statement of use, you're going to have to file another fee asking for more time to show the proof of use. So you could legitimately get registered in one class and not registered in another class. But it's however long it takes for you to show the proof of use. And like I said before, it doesn't take that long, y'all. All you got to do, honey, I will go and send an email to somebody with the brand name about whatever it is you're talking about, create a flyer, put that on social media. You know, you can host a little workshop really quick, depending on what it is that you're doing, right? But it doesn't take, people overthink this part. It doesn't take a lot to show adequate proof of use. And even if your proof of use wasn't really that good, the examining officer is going to come back and be like, we need something else. That's probably not how they're going to say it, but you know, you'll still have an opportunity to be able to get your evidence correct so that you can actually get registered. All right. All right, let me go back to the questions. All right, Kiana, does that make sense? This is the same. This is if the name is printed on clothing, you have to be that specific. Explain what you mean, Latera.
I know. I think I got it. I got it once you went through the classes and you were doing it. It's just I didn't know you had to be that detailed in your mark.
You do.
Your
you have to be very detailed.
Printing on paper, stickers, flyers, shirts, the type of clothing. So you explained it in your video.
Yeah. And let me give you guys an example too. I was representing this, I guess I'm still pretty much representing this guy, NBA G League assistant coach. And we started the process for his mark. I told him, like, listen, is this the mark that you want? Because this is what we're going to have to show proof for. And throughout the time, now this has been several years, I'm like, hey, I need the proof of use. Well, all I have is what I sent you last time is what he sent. I'm like, listen, it doesn't take much. You just need to use this name, put out a flyer for the services that you said that you're using. And one of the concerns he had was like, well, it shouldn't have to be that specific. I don't make the rules. That's USPTO. And if you can't get me the proof of use, then there's really nothing I can do for you, right? Because at the end of the day, you still have to be utilizing that mark. So you can't go and say, okay, I'm gonna have a business that is Laterra housewares, and you file your application for that, and then you're like, oh, well, let's just show proof of use for Laterra Homes. It's not the same name. So you have to be very specific. And even on the clothing, that was something that was going through my mind. Oh, they may say, well, the clothing doesn't have athletes making moves on it. So I put in a picture that did have athletes making moves on the clothing, just so you can see it. So yes, you have to be very specific with your brand. All right. At my 9 to 5, another company is trying to claim
you can skip questions 1 and 4
sure?
and 5. Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay, you said skip 1, 4, and 5. Okay, so you want me to do 2? Okay. What is the cost to have an attorney handle everything for one mark? And is the price lower if we're processing multiple marks? I'll have less time than money. Listen, I feel you for that. So I have a package where, and some people say it's expensive. I have a package where if you do it one time with me, it's 2 marks and $7,500, but we're doing more than just filing your application. We're having strategy sessions on top of that, so you understand exactly how to leverage and utilize your mark. So that's why my packaging is a little bit more expensive. If you're looking for long-term, so I work with creators. Some of my clients are creatives, and that means that they are creating intellectual property over and over and over and over again. And most of the time, as creatives, people don't stop to actually protect their work. So in that sense, if someone wanted to work with me over time, and I would suggest at least a year, then you're looking at a price tag around 25 to 50K, depending on what we're doing, because we would not only just be making sure that we're protecting your brands, but we will be doing monthly strategy, quarterly legal planning, and we'll be taking care of contracts. So that way we're protecting the brand all the way around. And that could also, it'll get more expensive if we're doing more of the back end house services around employees, independent contractors who may also be creating creative works for you. So the price could vary.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, you're welcome. 3, my brand name is LaPhrase. Yes. And listen, Pam got some really good candles, y'all. So
thank you.
You're welcome. If y'all need some candles, she is definitely a place to go. So LaPhrase, is that distinctive enough to trademark? I believe it is. When I look at the name LaPhrase, now I don't know if your name might be out there some other way. But if I'm thinking about LaPhrase and I'm thinking about it for some form of houseware, I don't know if candles would be considered a houseware, but you definitely have a good, and it doesn't describe that it's candles. So I have no idea, just looking at your name, what it is. I think it's distinctive enough. But you also want to make sure that the name is not substantially the same as somebody else or very similar to it that could be in the same class as you. But yes, I do like your name. I think it'll be fine. Oh, you use your initials of your parents. Really? I love that.
Yeah, my father's name is Luther, so I have all of our names in there.
Oh, that is so cool. I would have never guessed that. That's really cool. All right, you said skip 4.
Skip 4 and 5.
Okay. Oh, well, let me tell y'all this bit too. If you don't know what class to file under, you can always go to the Trademark class manual. It is available on USPTO website, and just start kind of, utilizing search terms and see what might fit better with what you're doing.
Okay.
Is legacy protection only related? Okay, there's the other word. Related to our business or also personal? It's all. It's all. If you're creating, all right, expound on this a little bit more too, Pam, kind of what you were thinking, because I want to make sure I'm hitting on the right thing.
So when you were going through what's all included in your, I can't remember the whole package that you just went through. You talked about legacy protection. And in my mind, I'm thinking about, protecting things for future generations, which
Yes.
I would say includes anything that I own personally. So I just
Yes.
wonder if that's also included in it.
That is. So you're talking about in that specific training. So in that training, yes, we break out the personal piece, but also the business piece. A lot of people prepare for the personal legacy, or should I say, not a lot of people prepare really for legacy at all. But if they're thinking about it, typically they're thinking on the personal level and they forget about all the assets they've created in their business. And so when life is over for them, typically the things that you've created, the assets, the value of certain things are not protected for the people that you thought you were creating it for. And so all of that is in that training. All of it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. How do we properly research whether our brand name is available? I would tell you to definitely, so there's a lot of people that's out there Googling. That only takes you so far. I would, so if you're gonna Google your name, I would first off Google it in different ways. So Google it straight up as however you're spelling it. Also think about different ways that people could spell it. And then I would also spell it phonetically. So let me give you an example. Shy or the cheat iron. There was a young lady who came for consultation services some years ago. She has hair products, something with the shy in there, CHI, and she was hit with a cease and desist from Chi. So it's pronounced differently, but it has the exact same 3 letters. So you want to think about that. I would also go to USPTO trademark search. You can do that very, very quickly. You can go to uspto.com. Trademark search, you can search for your name, and I will also do the exact same thing. I would search it in different formats. So I would search it written specifically, I would search it in different written formats, and I would search it written phonetically in different ways. And that could take a lot of time to really go through all, like if there's a whole bunch of people who may have the same or similar name, you're gonna have to go through each application to make sure if you're gonna file something that's substantially the same or very similar, that you're in a different class. Now, outside of that, as attorneys, we have access to other oh gosh, what do you call them? Y'all, I'm running a blank right now. It's like it's an intellectual property. Gosh, I cannot think of what it's called right now. Like a monitoring, yes, a database, like a database monitoring service. So we can see what marks come out that could be similar or just like yours. But I wouldn't recommend spending the money for it if you're not doing this on a regular basis. I would just pass that cost off to somebody else.
Can I ask a follow-up question to that real quick?
Yep.
So that's an interesting piece because my framework, as you might know, Light It Up, right, is a framework. But I never thought that because it spells so different from the actual word light, that it could be seen as a conflict.
It could be generic. It could be considered generic, but
even though the spelling is different from the phonetic word,
the spelling is different, and that's where you're going to have to really utilize that other part of the form, because you have a transliteral meaning. You have a transliteral, transliteral meaning.
Oh, that additional section in the beginning you were referring to? Yep. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're going to have to utilize that. I can't find it, but anyway, you're going to have to utilize that transliteral part. But I would search light, see what comes up. Here's somebody with light. They're not registered yet, but it's a live application. You can see it right here. January 27, 2023. Okay, they got ponytail holders. All right, and they just filed this in 2023. So I be telling y'all better stop sleeping on your stuff. All right, I like, this might be cigarettes or something. Oh no, it's downloadable mobile applications, program and pet aquarium. Still applicant. So you might want to go through and see, does anyone have, did I click this one? Does anyone have, now here's something, educational services. You might have a problem with this one because your framework is educational. You might have a problem with this. And they filed in October 2021 and they still haven't gotten registered yet. And what does it stand for? I remember you telling me before, but I can't remember.
The words lead and identify, transform, and embrace.
You have a definition, well, transliteral meaning for it. You might be able to find another class too. I kind of got a feeling that you might get hit with the likelihood of confusion for class 41 because of these people. Because do you have conferences?
That's the plan, to use it for conferences, my mastermind, my workshops, my clothing line, and
And you
much,
have,
obviously, my book.
Right. So I would definitely start the process for copywriting that right now, to give you some federal protection. And you're gonna have to really think about what other classes you can also file light it up in. You might be okay to do light it up, but then they might tell you might have to disclaim light because these people got it in class 41. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if you can do. Yeah, I would probably try it that way, but also make sure you have some other classes.
Okay.
Yep.
So technically, it's as long as the classes may not be an overlap, then it possibly could still go through. Maybe
mm-hmm. It could possibly still go through. That's why you can see some.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. What are you gonna say? You're breaking up. It could be my side. Kenyatta, I can't. Is that just me, guys, or can you guys hear her?
No, I cannot hear her.
Okay. If you can come back in, let me know. I would like to trademark. Yes, she wins. That's cute. But I also have to, okay, let me read this out loud. I would like to trademark yes, she wins. Would I also have to file a separate mark for yes? Well, yes just ain't gonna work. I don't see how that's gonna work.
No, it's just adding like the exclamation mark in there.
Oh,
because it's just different.
Let me see. I don't know if they
and then I want to use the acronym YSW.
Acronym YSW or YES?
YSW for yes, she wins.
I like YSW.
So that's what I was asking.
I think, yeah.
When you file the mark, do you have to do the variations of the names?
Look at this.
Yeah.
These
But
people,
the full name is not.
I know. It's not SYSW. But look at this. If you ended up filing a trademark for YSW, and this one is, you can tell, is already clothing. What class would yours be in?
41.
That's 21.
And maybe even 25. Something similar to what you have.
Okay, here's one in 25 already.
Yep.
Okay. And then let's see.
Yeah, I already
yes, like that.
Mm-hmm. It's not in there nowhere. I searched it. It's not in
here.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're going to be in class 25, you're going to be doing retail?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a whole thing. So it'll be retail, it'll be educational videos, it'll be workshop, it'll be so much stuff in the brand.
Okay.
So I just know I can't use my acronym.
So here's a She Wins, but they're not registered yet, but still, that's class 44. She runs. Look at this. She wins. See how that has a different. And this one was registered. Okay, class 25 right there. T-shirts. You might be able to get by with the word yes in front. Maybe. This one's dead. You might be able to get by. That one's in 44, but that one in 25 is gonna probably be your biggest issue. And then let me see if there's anything with. So you're gonna wanna yeah, I would let me take out the.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, do I have to file it separate? Can it
No,
all?
I'm just searching it separately to see what issues you might run into. So if I were you when filing it, I would probably file it with the full sentence. Yes, she wins. Because I'm not seeing, because without it, you have the issue of, are you going to do something yes by itself or YSW where people already had that, right? And then if you did she wins by itself, you already got people who got she wins. So if you do yes, she wins, you might be able to get over that hump. Especially for that lady, or I don't know if it's a lady, I'm assuming, but especially for that one mark of she wins where they were already in class 41. I mean class 25. Yeah.
So if I do, will it all be one mark, or do I have to file 2 marks? One for yes, she wins, one for yes, exclamation point, she wins.
Is your first mark, is it going to include the yes, she wins with the exclamation mark or no?
No.
What's the difference? Like why
I know.
how do you want people to interact with your brand?
As the full sentence, yes, she wins, no exclamation point.
I mean, the way I read it is if I'm saying yes, she wins, I'm seeing it as the excitement. Like something just happened because she won. Either way, I mean, I like the brand better with the exclamation point in there.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But you could file it either way. You don't have to do 2 separate. It wouldn't make sense for you to do that anyway. So you just need to figure out, do you want to keep the exclamation point in there or do you want to take it out?
The issue is that my digital work that's already out there is just without the exclamation point, and I know I can change it up.
Oh, you say it's without? Oh, that's fine.
I mean, my digital work is without, but I like it with the exclamation point.
With the exclamation.
And
just start using it.
Yeah, I could change it really quick. I know that's not an issue.
Yeah, just start using it. All right.
And I know you're running out of time.
Okay. Okay. Pam's saying she had to go. What are we gonna ask Tara?
Even though I'm trademarking it with the exclamation point, even though my business is not registered with that exclamation point, would that even make a difference?
If your business is not ready, no, because you're trademarking your business is 2 different things. Although you may have the same name, your business is the way that you're doing business, but your trademark is your brand. Gotcha. So how people are interacting with your brand.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any more questions, guys? We good? We good? Listen, I'm gonna be asking y'all for some testimonials. You're welcome. I'm gonna be asking y'all for some testimonials, so let me shine away now. But give me, I was saying 24 hours. I might need a few because I need to be able to really edit this before I send it out there to you guys. But thank you. I want to thank you so much for joining me for this application training, and I hope it was everything you expected and more. And then I will get the recordings out to you as soon as possible. All right.
Do you do your own digital art?
Some of it I do, yes.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I try. I'm a little creative over here, child.
No, it's really, for you to do it, if you do it by yourself, it's really, really, really nice.
Thank you. Thank you.